Gilles, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi everybody, my name is Gilles and I'm really honored to be part of this event. So first of all, and on behalf of the President of the World Design Organization, I would like to warmly thank the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, of course the Digital Society School, UNDP, and all the stakeholders, Global Goals Jams, also for this opportunity. What I propose is, first of all, to ask you, who is a designer here? Great. Second question, do you know the World Design Organization? Thank you. So let's go. It was known in the past as ICSID, dedicated to industrial design. And it became the World Design Organization 2 years ago. It represents a community of 400,000 industrial designers and designers all over the world with different programs. And I will try to explain that the SDGs are at the core of our DNA and for the future. So to just remind you, one point is that it was created more than 60 years ago in Europe, so it's a very European centered organization at the beginning. And something important was that in 1963, the organization was granted a consultative status by the UN in design in order to, for example, share ideas from the community to the UN. So we have different programs. I won't have time to go through, but I will try now to explain you a bit more how works this organization and why the SDGs are so important, and I end up with some kind of food for thought and programming that has really linked up to the topics we are talking today. As I said, it's a community of more than 165 organizations all over the world. We have different pillars. So at the beginning, there were promoting agencies. It was just after 10 years after World War II, and you can imagine that it was just about promoting design as a way to transform life. And so we have a lot of promotional organizations all over the world, for example, the South Korean Industrial Design Promoting Association. Of course, the educational pillar is really strong. We have really strong relationships with the Cumulus, for example, because you cannot do anything without education. This is the only organization that combines that with some corporate pillar and organizations. For example, Samsung, Tupperware, BMW are part of the organization. And finally, of course, we have the designers, the professionals. Frog Design, for example, and others are part of the organization. We also have what we call the associate members. They are non-designers, but they are more and more interested in working with designers. For example, startups, clusters of different sectors, university from different disciplines. And that's why every 2 years there is a board who is elected by this organization. We have always more candidates than seats, but that's pretty interesting. And I'm quite happy to show that we try to have a representation from all over the world. And I take the opportunity to stress the fact that we're appointing Marco as WDO Community Liaison for this mandate, and that's why maybe I'm here. In terms of mindset, this organization is coming from a long story of industrial design, and empathy is key. We try to inspire, motivate, and activate. It's quite the same words as you used before, so I won't take much more time about that, but I go straight to the SDG now. You probably know this quote, do you? From Ban Ki-moon. It was in 2015 when this framework of SDGs was released, and validated by a lot of nations. We can be the first generation to end extreme poverty, the most determined generation in history to end injustice and inequality, and the last generation to be threatened by climate change. This is for sure positive thinking, but we have to think big, definitely. We have a lot of work in front of us. So you know probably these different SDGs, you've seen already on the previous screen. In terms of design, since there are a lot of designers today, I'm sure that these different topics, all our organizations, members, have stressed as key in their everyday jobs. In every kind of organization they are, deals with food and water shortage, for example, climate change, healthcare, aging population, urbanization, and overpopulation. Just have you noticed what was released in the media at the beginning of the week about the migrations numbers last year? For the first time ever in history, we have 68 million people who migrate from one place to the other, and mostly are coming all from one of these questions. So designers are probably part of the solution, but they only can do that if they work in a quite open and inclusive platform with other communities, with other disciplines, and that's the aim of this organization. We cannot work. So just, of course, the 7 SDGs are really important, but it's so big that our members have led some kind of workshops in order to identify some kind of, if we could say, priorities. So of course, the first one for us it's, as a community, is the 11th one, so dealing with the sustainable cities and communities. So what is the role of design, digital, people, about the transformation of the city in a more, not smart, but human and sustainable cities. Of course, you have the good health and well-being, quality education. I think that we have a lot of representatives there. Clean water and sanitation. For your information, one of our program is a World Design Talks, and there will be one about clean water and sanitation in Mexico City in October. So just to give you an example that this is definitely a starting point for local governments, plus designers, local and international, plus companies, to work together on potential roadmaps and concrete actions to reach or try to have impact on these SDGs. Affordable and clean energy is key also, you can imagine. What is really interesting for me, because I come from the industry or world also, deals with this question of industry innovation and infrastructure. We are overwhelmed by the question of digital transformation, AI, whatever, everything technological. We think that we need first design thinking and designing new ways of working before going into just the potential of technology. And of course you have the responsible consumption and production. And finally, it is not on the map, but the number 17 is about partnerships. It's key also, that's why we have different organizations here. Now, I will just let our community tell you why they consider that SDGs are key. So it was during our last General Assembly in October, Torino, and we have had the most, we have never had so many people in a General Assembly. So please, I let the stage to the different people there. SDGs were at the core of the discussions during 2 days.
The world doesn't need more spectacular things. We just need stuff that's better and meets a need.
Most business models don't last as long as they used to last. What got you here won't get you there.
We try to connect luxury brands that care about people and planet with consumers that care about the same things. Millennials, that they want to belong to a pack, to a community, but they want to be different.
Educators are reporting that they have absolutely no problem in introducing sustainable development concepts.
We as designers tend to think about, yes, technology, but we're really much more focused on people.
And so how do we then engage and give meaningful input into this discussion around urbanization at a more meaningful level?
We were the first one in European Cycling Challenge. We brought the people together.
The decision makers live outside the city, and they say what the city needs to grow, and the people in the city are saying what we want is we want it to be greener.
Whatever we do, it has to be for the people. We have to see the people, we have to love the people, we have to have sympathy, compassion, empathy.
Never has design been more relevant to humanity's quest for sustainability in every sense of that word.
We create not just better product today, but also better process and services, better cities. I'm so proud to become president of the World Design Organization.
Coming here, and with all these countries, we take back information that we replicate and we multiply.
I think what's actually more important is actually sharing those ideas with the rest of the world.
After WDO, I will be taking home mainly the inspiration.
Discussing issues, how we can really interact and engage our peers.
To connect young designers together, to give them their place.
The World Design Organization has a wonderful passion, and it's great to see that in everyone that I've met.
We're trying very hard to ensure that the metrics by which we evaluate design are aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals. And at the end of the day, really trying to position the narrative around how design can make this big positive impact on our world.
So to end up with that, the key question is, what about concrete actions? So we decided collectively to schedule what we call the World Design Agenda for this mandate. It deals with different concrete actions to all specific programs from WDO just inspired and dedicated to SDGs, what we call the World Design Talks, to establish and participate in such kind of events as today, just not to present, but to listen to and to be ready to prepare, monitor, assess, and collectively write down some recommendation, collective recommendation, not only coming from the design sector, but from everyone about potential action that will be gathered in a World Design Report to be given to the UN in October next year. So, coming from the Global Goals Jams, coming from what you will do dealing with SDGs, please feel free to share, and we do a maximum to support. And just to give you two final examples, and as time is running, I will give the stage later on to the next speaker. On the 29th of June, so next week, sorry, it's a short notice, we have our annual celebration of the birth date of this organization, and each time we take one of the SDG as a key issue in order to let our community share projects, best practices, reports, contents, etc. about that. Just for your information, last year we had 1.4 million people reached, and a lot of impressions. So it's not about communicating anymore. It's about making visible and connecting people, and also with other communities than design. So if you want to just be visible, use the hashtag WIDD, WIDD 2018. And finally, just because it's in Europe and it's next to you, I don't know if you've noticed that the next World Design Capital in 2020 has been designated. It will be Lille, in the northern part of France. And the position for this program is for the first time focusing on SDGs first, and how by trying to make a lot of proof of concept and experiment them at a city scale during 1 year, which means preparing the subjects, the assessment protocols with a lot of stakeholders, not only from this city, not only from France, not only from Europe, but from everywhere, then to experiment then in 2020, and to implement and spread out what has been learned. Thank you for your attention.